Adding and subtracting integers. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to add and subtract integers, and we're going to use a number line to help us solve these problems. Okay, first let's make sure we understand what an integer is. Integers include all whole numbers and their opposites, meaning their negatives. Okay, so whole numbers include 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. We have all those positive values on the right after the 0. And then we also include the negatives of those numbers. So we have -1, -2, -3, and so on the left side of 0. Okay, here's a few things to remember when we're going through these problems using the number line. The first number in our problem is going to tell us where we start on the number line. The second number is going to tell us how many units we move along the number line. And then we just need to figure out what direction we're going to move. Either we're going to move to the left or to the right. If we have an addition sign, that tells us to move to the right. If there's a subtraction sign between the numbers, we're going to move to the left. And if the second number is a negative number, then that means that we need to move in the opposite direction. So if we were moving to the right for addition, now we're going to move to the left for subtraction. And if it starts out as moving to the left for subtraction, we're going to move the opposite to the right as if it's addition. So we'll see what that looks like in our next examples. Okay, here's our first example, -2 plus 5. Our first number tells us that we're going to start at -2. Our second number tells us that we're going to move 5 units, and then we look to the sign in between to tell us what direction. And since we have an addition sign, we're going to move to the right. So we start at -2, and we're going to move 5 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the right lands us on +3. And that's the solution to our problem. Whatever number you end up on is your solution. So now we know that -2 plus 5 equals +3. Here's our second example, 4 minus 6. First number tells us to start at +4. We're going to move 6 units, and since we have subtraction in the middle, we're going to move to the left 6 units. So we'll start at that +4 and move 6 units to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we end up with -2. And that's our solution. 4 minus 6 equals -2. Okay, and here's our third example. We have -3 minus -4. Okay, so we're going to start at -3. Okay. We're going to move 4 units. And notice we have 2 signs in the middle, so we have to consider both of those signs when we figure out what direction we're going to end up moving. Okay, we have the subtraction sign, and of course subtraction tells us that we're going to move to the left, but when we have a negative sign right in front of the second number, that tells us that we're going to move in the opposite direction. So we're actually going to move the opposite of left, which is right. Okay. And since we're going to end up moving 4 units to the right anyway, we can also say that this problem is the same as -3 plus 4. Okay. All right, so let's see what our solution would be. We start at -3, and then we're going to move 4 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we end up at +1. And that's our final answer. -3 minus -4 is equal to +1. So you just learned how to add and subtract integers. Great job!